Once upon a time, there was a king who ruled over a kingdom. He always worked hard to make their lives better. He had a queen, Elizabeth, and he loved her with all his heart. In the capital of the kingdom, there lived a man named Anthony. He had a happy family. His wife, Amelia, and their two sweet kids, Johnny and Misha. Anthony loved them more than anything. He worked as a barber and owned a small shop. It wasn't big, but it was clean, bright, and well decorated. Anthony made sure everything was neat and arranged all his tools, like scissors, combs, and razors, in their proper places. His customers loved his clean, decorated shop and the great haircuts he gave. But Anthony had a problem. He talked too much. Once he started talking, it was hard for him to stop. Even though Anthony's talked a lot, his family and customers knew how to deal with it. One early morning, Amelia quickly got up and rushed to the kitchen. She washed her face and hands, then began making breakfast. She made tea and boiled eggs. Meanwhile, Anthony woke up and got ready. Misha brushed her teeth, and Johnny went for a shower, while Amelia quickly made French toast and 2 glasses of strawberry milkshake. She then spread butter on some rusk and poured hot tea into cups. Finally, Anthony and the kids joined her at the table. They all sat down and happily started their breakfast together.
Oh, I remembered,
Anthony suddenly said, taking a bite of his French toast.
my mother used to make the best French toast. But my big brother never liked it. One day,
Amelia, feeling a little unwell, interrupted with a sigh.
Oh, Anthony, enough. I'm not feeling well today.
Misha, holding her head, added,
Papa, I have a math test today. Your talking gives me a headache. Please be quiet, or I might fail.
Anthony's face turned pale with worry.
oh no. Misha, I don't want you to fail.
Johnny quickly said,
Mom, I want to eat an egg sandwich in my tiffin tomorrow. The one with milk and butter you make.
Amelia smiled and nodded. With that, the family successfully quieted Anthony. After breakfast, Misha quickly put on her bag and said,
Johnny, Hurry up. We are getting late. I don't want to get scolded by Miss Laura.
Johnny rushed to his room, grabbed his bag, and both hurried to the door. Anthony stepped out as well. Anthony reached the shop, quickly dusted the shelves, swept the floor, and sprinkled water outside. Soon customers began to arrive. He started cutting one customer's hair, while others were waiting. Anthony started talking.
You know, when I was a kid, I hated going to the barber. Once, I even ran away and hid under the bed when my mom tried to cut my hair.
The customers started getting irritated as Anthony continued.
I cried so much. My mom had to bribe me with candy just to sit still.
Johnny, please stop talking and just focus on your work. If you keep talking, I will walk over to the barber shop across the street, and I won't give you a single penny.
Anthony, suddenly worried, quickly replied.
Oh no, Mr. Harry. Please don't go. I won't talk anymore.
He got busy with his work, and Mr. Harry sighed in relief, while the others smiled secretly at the situation. One evening, the king and queen sat in the palace garden. The royal servants arranged the table with pastries, rolls, almond cookies, and steaming cups of tea. As they sipped their tea, the queen looked at the king and said,
My dear, I don't think your haircut looks quite right. It's too uneven.
The king frowned.
Is something wrong?
The queen nodded.
Yes. I think it's time to find a new barber. This one isn't doing a good job.
The king called a royal servant.
Find me a good barber right away.
The servant bowed and said,
Yes, Your Majesty.
and quickly left. The royal servant wandered through the market, searching for a good barber. He visited several shops but didn't like any. He continued his search until he saw Anthony's shop, Sharp Cuts. The shop was well kept and decorated, and he noticed customers coming out with neat, well-done haircuts. He thought,
This is the one for the king.
He entered the shop and spoke to Anthony.
I'm looking for a barber for the king.
Anthony smiled confidently.
I would be honored. The king will be very pleased with my work.
The servant nodded and said,
Okay. Come tomorrow morning.
That night, Anthony returned home with a box of sweets and a big smile on his face.
Guess what? I got a job with the king.
He handed them some sweets. Amelia's eyes widened.
Really? That's amazing, Anthony.
Johnny jumped up.
Wow. Papa. The king's barber.
Misha clapped her hands.
Yay! Papa. I'm so proud of you.
Anthony reached the palace the next morning and, after greetings, started his work, but then started talking instead of shaving. The king got angry.
When are you going to stop talking?
Anthony replied.
You do me an injury by calling me a chatterer. Everyone says I am very quiet and sparing with words.
The king cried.
Send him away! I will not be shaved today.
It was you who ordered me to come. So I will not go till I have shaved you,
said Anthony. He then began narrating another story, which lasted half an hour.
Stop making speeches. And let me go quickly,
said the king. Anthony said,
Oh master, do not be angry. I am beginning to shave you.
He washed the king's head and began to shave. He stopped and said,
My master, you are acting hastily in this matter.
Speak no more.
The king ordered.
Be patient.
Said the barber.
What you are going to do? Tell me, so I will give you my opinion on it.
Finish shaving at once!
The king exclaimed. But Anthony left the king half-shaved to go and see what time it was.
My patience is exhausted.
The king cried.
Be calm, my master,
said Anthony and continued shaving the king. But then he said,
You could inform me what this important affair is.
The king told him that he was giving a feast to some friends at noon. Anthony exclaimed,
Yesterday, I invited friends to come to my house today. But I had quite forgotten it. And I have not made any preparations.
The king was ready to do anything to be rid of him.
Finish your work.
The king replied.
And you shall have all the food that has been prepared for me today.
Please show me the food so that I may judge if it is enough for my 5 friends.
The king ordered that all the food prepared for his feast be brought in. Anthony looked over the food and said,
I want some fruit for the dessert also.
The king ordered that the fruits should also be brought in. Anthony left off shaving to examine each dish separately. The king stamped his feet impatiently. But Anthony did not hurry. However, he again took up the razor. But after a few minutes of work, he stopped suddenly and cried,
I never knew that you were so generous.
The king bore the entire day as Anthony finally completed his work. Exhausted and annoyed, the king ordered,
Give him his salary! But do not let this barber step foot in the palace again.